My friends, have you ever sat there and thought, or asked yourself, what do they do with world design, and who does that in SWTOR? Well, I'm going to answer that for you in this article right now. Hello my friends, Boomy here once again with another video for you, my SWTOR brothers and sisters. If this is your first time on the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button for all your SWTOR fun, news, guides, and updates right here, right now. My friends, have you ever wondered, well, who puts the NPC there in our game? Who dresses the NPC? Who's in charge of world design? Well, look no further. We have an article describing this, the behind the scenes of world design. And we are going to take a look at the lead of this, the captain of the ship, Dave Schremek. That's right. So this is a rather long article, so let's get right into it. And then, well, let's talk about it. Here we go. There we go, behind the scenes of world design. When a key non-playable character or NPC like Darth Malgus, Tal Idar, and others leading the charge in the upcoming Onslaught expansion, it's no surprise that a lot of thought goes into their creation. But what about other less known NPCs? What about the arrogant guy at the cantina or the vendor down the dark alley? To get some insight into what goes into creating the miscellaneous characters that populate the universe of Star Wars: The Old Republic, we sat down with our lead world designer, Dave Schremek. I might be butchering that, so I do apologize, Dave. During this behind-the-scenes look, we'll dig into creating one of the ruling gangs of the upcoming planet, Mexshaw. And they ask, for starters, would you like to introduce yourself and explain a little bit about what you do on the team? Sure, I'm Dave Schremek, and I'm the lead world designer. On SWTOR, that means I'm responsible for all the narrative portions of the game that aren't cinematics, writing, and world art. I do area layout. I hook up the writing into our mission editing tool, which I would love to get my hands on that mission editing tool. That thing sounds awesome. He continues, so that if the mission is to talk to a person, that person exists in the world to be talked to. If the mission calls for a fight, I hook up the character to fight, assign abilities, even assign combat music. If the mission calls for an item to be looted, I make sure the character or object in the game has the item, and that item has all the data you'd expect: an icon, text description, a usage ability, if it calls for it. If you're clicking on an object, I assemble the various art pieces into the interactive objective called dynamic placeable, which mostly means it can be clicked on and go into different states, like crates open when you click on them, and there's stuff in there when you loot them, but the stuff is gone when you've looted the object. They ask, there are some elements you mentioned that players would expect, such as creation of missions, placing NPCs, etc. Is there anything unexpected about what a world designer does? He answers, what any one of us does in world design has changed over the years, but because we're BioWare, the thing that never changes is that storytelling is central to what we do. When we populate an area with ambient NPCs or enemies, they're interacting with the world. As you move deeper into an instance, the enemies spawned in the world go from chatting with each other or using a computer to pointing guns down the hallway, because by then, they're expecting you. If the world changes because of something in the story, like explosions going off as you escape or alarm klaxons, that's the thing we do. If notes from a writer says that a character is an arrogant underworld businessman, we create an appearance for that NPC that hopefully reveals those aspects of the character. One of my favorite things I did was for the smuggler mission chain on Coruscant. The smuggler is invading a gang HQ to rescue a slicer named Kixie, I forgot how to say it. And when they get to the door she's behind, the door is mysteriously locked. When I created the door panel, I made a custom use ability where the smuggler pulls out their gun, gives it a twirl, and shoots the panel. Then I named the ability Unlocking. So that's what it says on the cast bar. I bet he laughs at that, and I actually kind of think that's cool. They also ask, you mentioned creating the appearances of NPCs. Could you elaborate on that? Is that the same as dressing a player character, or are there differences? And this is where I'm really jealous, my friends, but he answers, we have access to some options that players don't when dressing our NPCs. Yeah, I really wish we had those options. That'd be great. That would just be awesome. Yeah. He continues, for example, some of our outfits are made with embellishments that we can attach or leave off, depending on how fancy we want the character to be. And in that we can get more variety out of the character outfits we have. I can make a less dangerous enemy in underworld armor not have the heavy pauldrons or elbow armor. Or I can leave off a helmet's goggles so players can see the eyes in cinematics. Or I can leave off some of the elaborate elements of boots because your average vendor might not have heavy armor greaves. But would wear a sturdy pair of synth leather boots. The wider color palette we have access to makes it easier to mix and match armor pieces without needing to burden character art with a lot of requests. Especially the newer pieces have slightly different material properties that may saturate a color more or appear brighter, so I need to use a slightly different shade of red to make the whole set match. For the upcoming planet Mechshaw, one of the powerful gangs is a group of ex-Mandalorians. Now, this is where we get to go into some story, some stuff they haven't really talked too much about, but he continues, who work for a man named Indigo. Indigo had to get his name from somewhere, so I assembled a lot of various heavy armor pieces and tried to get them all the same shade of, well, indigo. But some pieces are a shinier metal, while some have the flat plastic surface you expect from trooper armor. Now here you go, here's a picture of all the Indigo people, or that's Indigo as you can tell, but the ex-Mandalorians here on Mechshaw. He continues, the rest of Indigo's gang doesn't play a direct role in the storyline. But one of the most fun parts of Star Wars Galaxy is the way every background character implies a fascinating story happening just around the corner. Hey, I'll have to agree with that. That is for sure. And I love it when storytellers tell stories like that, to where there are side characters, background characters, but they're doing something so interesting. You're just like, man, I bet there's a great story with that guy over there. Man, I just want to talk about that. He continues, that's the kind of feeling we want to create with the NPCs populating the Old Republic. That's what I mean when I talk about using costumes to tell story. We can tell a lot of story just with how they dressed. When it comes to Indigo's gang being ex-Mandalorians, that means I get to mix and match pieces. Being no longer Mandos, they probably have to scrounge to get armor they want. Indigo, because he's the boss, gets the best bits. And Gizka, that's an unfortunate name, who's the kid of the group, has the most mismatched pieces. She looks the most cobbled together, but it was important for me when dressing Mandalorians, or even ex-Mandalorians, that they all look similar, recognizably Mando, while also having that kind of individualism I expect. They ask, hypothetically, would the way these Mandalorians are dressed also correlate to how they behave in a combat scenario? Absolutely, he answers. Take Beskad, for example. She's named for the famous Mandalorian sword. Because she's the deadliest on the team with one, if she were in combat, she'd have melee abilities. Her outfit has a spiked pauldron, so she'd definitely get a good shoulder charge. Her gauntlets have spikes, so we'd try to give her a nice backhand or some punching attacks. And she's got a knife tucked into her boot, so we might give her something like the Agent Shiv attacks. It's all about character. The story tells us some things about the character. The appearance tells us more or allows us to express that character in a specific way, and that tells us what they'll be like in combat. We try to make every part of what we do inform the story. Indigo has a kind of cape on his armor because he's a leader, and leaders have capes apparently, and he's kind of taking a bit of cue from Shay's Mandalorian the Avenger look. But that also makes him look like a heavy armored Clint Eastwood, so if he were to fight, he'd be more gunslinger than your typical Mandalorian. And we're getting to the finish, my friends, and they ask, can you walk us through the color palette's decision process for Indigo's gang? Was there a specific reason or theme the team was going for in choosing those color combinations, equipment, etc.? He answers, when I made the Mandalorians for the Dravanis chapter in Knights of the Fallen Empire, this gets crazy. Like, imagine his day. You think I have an hour-long problem creating my characters? Wait till you hear this one. He says, whew, I created 27 unique appearances. I created a medic-specific Mando armor and color scheme, then created 3 groups. Each group was sorted by weapon, 1 large blaster, 2 smaller blasters, or a rifle. And then each group had 8 different looks, 1 of each body type. Again, I think Mandalorians would express their individuality. Yeah, words. So I just tried to pick 2 complementary colors that I hadn't used before. For Indigo's gang, I had to be more specific. Indigo was the only one that needed a specific color palette. After that, I wanted to make every kind of vibrant and unique like on Dravanis, but also steering away from the kind of colors that could be mistaken for Indigo. I figured they'd give him a wide berth on that. One of the characters who goes by Forge uses a chest piece and a helmet for a charismatic Mandalorian because she's the one who makes sure the gear they cobble together has the personality and flair they're looking for, and keeps it all in working order. Even though we have more color options when making character appearances, we can still only change 2 of the colors on the outfit, just like players using dye packs. The charismatic Mandalorian armor has a splash of orange on it that cannot be changed, so that meant that I was definitely giving one character a lot of orange in their armor. The twins, Talon and Ranger, are both snipers, and so I made them hunters. Their armor has a lot of trophies, fangs, fur, claws, but also has a natural look of leathers, or colors that might blend in well with stone and natural environments. Sometimes I chose a particular kind of leg armor whose textures match the chest armor I was using, but one of those textures only comes in charcoal gray, so I have to try to match the gray using one of the 2 color options I have for the other pieces. Maybe a set has a baked-in accent color, and I'll try to find pieces that let me duplicate that accent color in the other pieces to try to unify the look. So sometimes I make decisions based on what's available. Slice, who is the group Slicer, has techier armor than most Mandalorians, and it has these red wires running through the chest piece. So when I choose legs, I chose ones where I could duplicate the red accent and unify her look. Whew, good grief. Last question, what aspect of Indigo's gang are you excited for players to see or experience once they hit Mechshaw? He replies, Indigo is one of several criminal gangs on Mechshaw, and one that you interact with differently depending on your past. Since they're all ex-Mandalorians, they don't necessarily like it if you bring Shay or Torian to meet them, and they definitely don't like it if you're Mandalorian yourself. Thank you for your time, Dave. As a reminder, Indigo's gang will serve a minor role on Mechshaw, and this is the level of thought the team put into their design. Just wait until you see what the main content is like. If you'd like to see more news about Onslaught, blah 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 blah. Well, there you have it, my friends. What goes into making NPCs stuff we interact with in the world, the behind the scenes stuff, and just the intricacy of what one person does, not forgetting the whole team they have working on this, but what these people do to make characters have their own character, to have their own story, to have their own appearance, and the many options they go through creating these characters that we get to experience in game. I think that's pretty flippin' awesome, and my hat's off and big respect to them for doing this, and I really cannot wait to interact with Indigo and his gang, and play Onslaught in general. So there's that. My friends, let me know your comments in the comment section below. What do you think about this? Are you as like, wow, this is amazing as I am, or you're like, yeah, whatever, man, I can make one better? I mean, I would love to have the tools that they have to create one of my characters. I think that is awesome. I would love that. I'm jealous. Daddy, give me now. Anyways, my friends, again, let me know your comments. Put them in the comment section below. If you like what you see here, make sure you hit that like button, because the more likes we get, the easier and faster and better it is for people to find us, our SWTOR brothers and sisters lost out there in a galaxy far, far, far away. And if you really like what you see here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Become part of the family here at Boomy Nation, the freak show of YouTube, the black sheep of gaming. And as always, my friends, remember to be kind. It's about community, and we will see you later. Good day.